Hello everybody. Now this I was planning on, if you've seen the last episode, you'll know I was planning on doing an episode about timetabling the train, giving it a timetable. Now this is actually a bonus episode that I'm just throwing in because I think it's going to be important in your creation journey. So here it is. Never be frightened to persevere. Quitting, while it may seem good at the time, and it's obviously an easy thing to do, if you can't do something, a lot of people's minds just go to, okay, I'm quitting this. But actually, this you might have started out on this journey just because you're bored and you want something to do. You might have just come across the video, and you played Train Simulator and thought, oh, that never came across my mind, but that sounds quite nice. Or you might be doing this for a reason. You might want to be doing this. But then if you go and just quit because you find something too difficult, you're never going to achieve your goal. So a lot of people say this, but I'm going to just kind of reinforce it. Set small goals, which is why these episodes are very bite-sized chunks, because they're going in detail and they're small. We're just focusing on one thing at a time. Like the first episode was just setting up the scenario, nothing else. All we did was set up the scenario. We gave it a name. We told it where it was starting, and we told it what type of scenario it was. That was it. Then in the next episode, we familiarised ourselves with the basics of the UI, and then we placed a train down. And then for the next episode, we will be timetabling the train. It's just small little steps, and set small goals, and you'll find find things easier, you'll get more things right, but also you'll find it a lot harder to just say, okay, I'm going to quit. I can what if I just, I'm going to go back to this goal. So if you know what all your goals are, or each small goal, and something goes wrong, you can be like, and you feel like you want to quit, resist that temptation and think, okay, what was the last goal I was really good at? I'm going to go back to that goal, and I'm going to then go again from there. That, I think, is a really good way of doing things, because then you know that you're giving yourself another chance to do something you want to do. Because if you stop doing something you want to do, chances are, in the long run, you'll regret it, and then you'll start doing it again at some point, I guarantee. I mean, even if maybe you don't understand something, then that's okay. Trust me, it's okay. Because, that might make you quit. But again, set small goals, and you can even set smaller goals. But you can set really small goals. You could just say, these goals, that watch each video as its own goal. Each of these tutorial episodes as its own goal. So it's one process, one thing you're doing. And then, when you finally get to adding AI and coding that stuff, coding is not really the right word, but timetabling that stuff, you can set yourself a goal of, okay, because AI is much easier to do than the player train, trust me. But you can set yourself a goal of, okay, in this period of work, I want to have done 2 AI trains and made them the best they can be. And, that small goals, and you can even make it 1. I don't know what we're going to do here yet. Probably maybe one or two. But it uses very much the same skills as timetabling the player train, and so you have those skills. So a lot of, basically, all of this stuff that we're going to do is going to build on the previous knowledge. So, if you do, if you are struggling to achieve one of your goals, if you can't achieve it, you think you can't achieve it, here is my advice. Look at that goal, look at the video, and think, well, what am I not understanding? What am I not getting? What am I not doing right? And if you look at that, and then you think, okay, it's that. Now, where was I first introduced to that? Maybe. Because a lot of these things, they will use knowledge you previously learnt. Some stuff, obviously, will be new. But just think that if you have that knowledge already, but you're maybe not understanding it, it might have been a while since you learnt that, and you maybe want to go over it again, then by all means do. Just go back to that video, watch it. You've now just revised that knowledge and given yourself a small recap, and that can be useful if you're struggling with something, because then if it's using that skill that you have maybe forgotten over the time, then you can then learn that, relearn that, and apply it. So you may not be struggling. Now, it might be something that you may not have learnt yet. In that case, just think, okay, I'm going to go back a stage. So, undo. Just undo. Get rid of what you just done. Get rid of everything in this goal that didn't work. Because then you can go in and then just wait. Give it some time. Give it some time alone. Maybe 12 hours. Just a day. You might struggle with something. You think, okay, right, I've got to relearn what I think is going wrong. It's still not working. So I'm going to delete what I've done. And when I say that, I don't mean go and delete the whole scenario. I mean just undo everything that you were focusing on in that video that was going wrong. Sorry, my parents are talking in the background. If it's still going wrong, what you do is you just undo. Keep pressing undo until you've got back to where you achieved your last goal. Because what you can do then is you can then wait. Just wait. Give it a day. Go back to it in your next session, and then you've got a fresh mind, and then think, okay, right, so what was going wrong? What did I need to go and relearn? Let's go and try and do this from the beginning, because sometimes it can be hard to have something go wrong, realise it's a skill you've forgotten that you need to go and relearn. Go and relearn the skill and then start applying it halfway through. Generally, it's just easier to start again. Just start again that little bit, not the whole thing, just that little process, the steps to achieving that goal. And then you can, sorry, I've lost myself. And then you can leave it some time and then come back to it with a fresh mind, and you might know, okay, right, there's something here that I've left it, and now I've had time to think about it, not in an obtrusive way, just, going about your day, and then just it coming to mind, or just having a fresh mind and being able to cope with it. So you could try doing it in the morning, maybe, if you have time. And then I guarantee you, even if you then don't get it right that time, you will either understand more what you're doing wrong. You might be able to rectify it yourself. Now that will be a really big achievement for everyone watching. That will be a really big achievement when you get to the point where you figure out there's a problem and you manage to rectify it yourself. And then you might be able to think, okay, well, I can probably do this better. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to the tutorial, or I wasn't really understanding, at which point I should have stopped and thought. Another thing, if you feel like you don't understand, then before asking questions anywhere, stop and have a think. Rewatch that part of the video 2, 3, however many times you want to. Rewatch that part of the video. Think about what's being said, because that might help you to understand. Just because every time you listen / watch something, every time you pick up something new that you didn't notice before. So every time you rewatch that, you might start to gain a bit more of an understanding. So those are some of my tips for what to do if things are going wrong and you feel like quitting. But now, just why not to quit? I've brushed on this, but it basically, if you're doing this because you want to, or even you need to. If you need to, then that's another matter. Then that's totally different, and you probably would be forced to keep going, or just put your hands up and say, sorry, I can't do this. Like if you're working for a company or something, and you're in charge. If you're working for a all of a sudden newly licensed payware company making payware content for Train Simulator. I know that doesn't happen very often, but if you are doing that and you're in charge of making some scenarios and you're watching these videos because you never made these scenarios before in your life, and then you just sit there and you might find struggles with something, and if you're if you're forced to carry on because of that reason, then that might put extra pressure on you if you don't understand. So if that happens to you because you absolutely have to do it, it's a task that you have to do, then obviously just if you're struggling with it to that point where you've followed all my tips and you still can't get anywhere, then that's when I'd say just put your hands up and say, sorry, I just can't do this. I've tried and I've tried and I've tried, but I just can't do this. And I guarantee you'll be okay. You can go away, have some time to think, maybe watch the videos again, not under the pressure of having to do anything. Just watch it at home in bed or something. And if you're just doing it for pleasure, then you really want to. So, for example, this is where I'm going to get active here. But you might go into the drive menu and wait, it's not responding. Anyway, you might go into the drive menu and you might be scrolling through the scenarios. So you might be scrolling through the scenarios and thinking, I want to make some scenarios like these. You might even be driving the scenarios and saying, I want to make more of these for, let's say you're on Great Eastern Main Line. Let me just find a challenging scenario. No, I'm going to find a scenario that I've done that I like. That was my one. Not many down here. There's railfans are easy. I'll do a separate series on railfan scenarios. Like you might just I don't know. You might be driving a scenario you really like, and you might think, I want to try and do something like this on a different route. Then this might be why you're watching this tutorial series. But trust me, if you go into it and think, okay, I'm under no pressure, you'll be less likely to have to quit, and also you'll be more relaxed in terms of going back over things to just relearn things and think that, okay, right, I'm in a relaxed environment. I'm doing this for pleasure. I've got all the time in the world. I can go back and relearn everything if I need to. So, and then you might then decide. And if you, my computer's being odd. Sorry. But if you might go back and decide that actually, so you might be doing it and you followed all my tips. You still decide to quit for whatever reason. And then you're driving a scenario one day, pretty much like why you started wanting to do scenario creating in the first place, and then you realise, oh yeah, I wanted to make that kind of thing, but I quit, and then you'll probably start regretting the move of quitting, but also having had all that time to think, well, not think about it, but just having all that time to do other things, you might be able to better understand what's happening, especially considering you've already watched a lot of the stuff. And even if it's at the back of your mind, it'll kind of be a refresher, and you'll probably do it even better. So, quitting, of course, it's up to you if you quit. But I'm just giving you some, as a bonus episode, this was just some tips and tricks to help with what you should do if you feel like quitting. Another thing, if something's going wrong, restart the technology. A simple off and on trick that can work, because in this case, if something's going wrong, restart Train Simulator after saving it, of course. And in very extreme cases, you might have to restart your device. But trust me, a lot of problems will be solved by a simple off and on type trick. Or it might be just the current circumstances. You might be able to press play and then go back into the editor, and then it's all solved. So it's really just a case of having a positive attitude, doing things in bite-sized chunks. If I'm ever overwhelmed by a task, my mum always says to me, how do you eat an elephant? In bite-sized chunks. And so take it in bite-sized chunks. You might want to make your goals even smaller than the goals I'm setting out here as example goals, really, because they're small goals, just one small thing, and I'm going to call them example goals, because you might want to set your own goals based on you. You might want to say, okay, so actually I want to create the scenario and lay my first train down and timetable it. Then you might say, okay, right, I want to get 3 bits of AI done. Never be too ambitious though, but always think, set yourself small goals. And if you're feeling confident, by all means, go bigger. And if you're not feeling so confident, go and re-watch anything you might have missed or forgotten or don't understand. But also set smaller goals, because then that will give you less pressure, because you're thinking, okay, right, I've got less to do in this time frame. I can spend longer trying to think it through. Because if you're tasked with, you've got an hour to create a scenario, I guarantee that unless you're really experienced, you will either, everyone will rush it naturally, but so it won't be the best scenario, but you'll in that rush be less able to cope with faults and think them through, and just think through anything that goes wrong. So never rush, and if you're in this relaxed environment, then always just think, okay, it's going wrong, I'm going to set myself smaller goals, because that's going to give me more time to try and understand. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. It was a bit of an interrupt and a bit of a long one, 20 minutes, but it was just really just follow these tips, because even if you do quit, you will benefit from these tips. This was just designed to help you. If you ever feel like quitting, considering the next stage is probably going to be where most people quit. It's when you're getting to timetabling trains. So that's why I made this now. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. The next video will be timetabling the trains. So I shall see you then. Goodbye. Please remember also to like and subscribe if you want to continue the series after this little motivational episode. So I'll see you all in the next one.